What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate you coming through another edition of the On the Ball podcast. Yes, we're back on Thursday night, but special arrangement again for this week. We should be back Tuesdays next week, but I forgot to change this thing. It's less than 30 days. We're down to like 13 footballs back at this point. But it's definitely a fun time. So as you guys are coming on in, make sure you drop those comments. If you're new, appreciate you. If you vibe with the show, been here several weeks, appreciate you coming back. I know you all are excited for the NFL to get back underway, but we have some stuff to talk about. We have another tier ranking. If you've seen the description, we did our Super Bowl contenders last week. That was a lot of fun. We've done quarterback. We've done quite a few the past couple of weeks. We're keeping it going this week. We're going to look at skill position groups, which that should be some fun there and some more good conversation. But before we get into all that, gotta bring Brett in. Brett, how are you doing? Not guarding the 2, guarding the 3. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. I'm excited to talk some sports. There's definitely a lot to get into tonight. That's for sure. So let's get it.
Right. Now, look, the main focus will be NFL, but I'd be crazy not to start elsewhere. So NBA, we learned John Wall retired. And, John Wall played with Kentucky, played with the Wizards, played with the Clippers, missed some time. Like, it's an interesting story that is John Wall's career. And my question, because I feel like it's probably the only thing we really need to talk about it, because obviously he retired, a lot of fans and everything. So, good luck in your retirement. I believe he's going to be working on Amazon Prime for their NBA coverage. So he's landing on his feet. But if you were writing a book on John Wall's career, how would you describe his career?
John Wall I think he had a really interesting career, and I think he had a really fun career. The thing with John Wall is he's pretty universally beloved. He never got overrated. He never really got underrated. He's always rated in the perfect spot. Everybody loved him. He was a fantastic player at his peak. 2016, 2017, John Wall had that's some great memories right there. He was a fantastic ball player. And he's just one of those players, too, that at the end of his career it was just kind of unfortunate. At the end of the day, when we're talking John Wall, what ends up happening is we all know the story. He signs the max, but on super max, but his Achilles goes, and he just suffers a myriad of leg injuries. And then he gets traded to the Rockets, but the Rockets are doing a youth movement, so they don't even play him. So he doesn't really see game action or a lot of it until he's on the Clippers, and by that time he's just done. But at the end of the day, when it comes to John Wall, he was a really fun, high energetic player, and I loved watching him. And I know a lot of people, really enjoyed in that 2010s also, when he was fully healthy, playing at the peak of his powers. He was a great player. He gave Colin Cowherd a heart attack, which is always going to be an all-time moment. And he had his own song, Do the John Wall. It was terrific. I think John Wall had a great career. He made a great impact in Washington. He had his own song named after him. What more can you really ask? Just overall, just a fantastic career for John Wall.
Yeah, and look, what's going on, Jory, Kurum, Key? What's up? Yeah, look, for me, I watched John Wall, and like I always told myself, whenever he had the ball in his hands, he obviously before the injuries and everything like that, he's one of the fastest guys up and down the floor with the ball in his hands, and it was definitely fascinating. There are aspects of his game that he could have been better in, but that's every player. But yeah, it's kind of hard to find somebody who didn't necessarily like John Wall. Like you felt bad for him because of the injuries, and he's another one of those what ifs. What if he were healthy? Like how great could he have been? I mean, Kerm kind of puts it. His career was interesting. Like you said, he had influence off the court, which may overshadow kind of on the court because on the court just wasn't a finished product. But yeah, that's the dice roll you take when you become an athlete. So I guess the follow-up question, do you see him as a Hall of Famer? Because we know it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. They take your college career, I don't even think he had much of an international career, but they take all that into consideration when placing you into the Hall of Fame. Like, do you think he gets in at some point?
No, I think he is
Okay.
a Washington Wizards candidate to get his jersey retired. I think he had a very impactful career in Washington, but problem once again, it just comes back to the second half of that career where just the injuries killed him, and he didn't obviously didn't do anything in Houston, even though they didn't allow him to do much in Houston. And then of course he also just by the time he got to the Clippers and they wanted to actually play him, he was just kind of done. But I think he's a perfect prime candidate for getting his jersey retired in Washington. But the NBA Hall of Fame, no, I don't think he's an NBA Hall of Famer.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. I said fun career, really good player. Just I don't think the career was long enough for him to become a Hall of Famer. But you never know. Crazier things have happened. It's all about committees and everything like that, what agendas they're trying to run. So maybe he does. But yeah, I feel like a Washington, John Wall night probably should happen in the near future. One, it may give Wizards fans something to, cheer for. I mean, no shot at, the Wizards. I mean, the Wizards are doing something. Whether it's good or not, we'll see. But it would be, I guess, nice to see them, celebrate him and everything like that. So I'm completely there with you. So I guess going from that, because that's the other thing I want to talk about before we got into the whole tier rankings and everything. ESPN Unlimited, shout out to Russell Wilson, like debuted today. And for those of you like watching, what's going on, David? If you haven't seen what's going on, basically as a sports fan, we're getting to the point where like ESPN is trying to make themselves the one-stop shop. I could probably say NBC, Peacock somehow working their way in there because with with some recent moves, like NBC and Peacock will literally have Sunday night basketball, Sunday night football, and I think like Sunday night baseball. So they'll have their whole calendar year covered. Yes, Kerm, yes, ESPN has preseason games. They're going to have 5 on Saturday, which are out of market. Do you think this is a good thing for ESPN to, kind of acquire, because they're going to acquire like MLB TV. They have the NFL Network deal. They're still involved with the NBA and everything like that. Do you think that this is something that could maybe help the image? I feel like ESPN recently has kind of taken a hit because of the fact that we're seeing, kind of like the same people on TV all the time. Stephen A, maybe a lack of representation in terms of talking about teams that aren't the Cowboys or the Yankees or the Lakers. Could this be something that maybe fixes that by bringing in actual personalities that know these sports? Or, as Kerm said, is this going to ruin everything?
I think the key with ESPN, what they should do is just make sure they're bringing in people that know what they're doing. And if they actually bring in guys that want to talk about the game and enjoy it, like I think it should be fine. I think that
Mm-hmm.
this will work out for ESPN. But I just think that when it comes to ESPN, the key is, like, for example, I already see enough of Stephen A. Smith. I don't need him on any of these newly acquired products. Pat McAfee's fun in doses, but I don't need to see him on these new products.
Yep.
And that's no, actually Pat McAfee on NFL Red Zone is probably just fine, but because it makes sense, he was in the NFL. But my point is that I think as long as they just bring in new faces and new voices and actually focus on the product at hand instead of just turning it into a you know I guess a arguing match or whatever you want to call, Stephen A. Smith TV in the year 2025, then it should work out for him.
So Kerm NFL Red Zone, which he said Scott Hansen is the guy. Scott Hansen has already, let us know that he will be back on to do Red Zone, which is one fear down in that instance, because I know Brent and I talked about it before. Our biggest worry was you would turn on Red Zone and see Stephen A. there acting like he was, keeping up with all these games and everything. So that part, whatever. But yeah, Jory says, I'm not here for people not giving the new style an actual chance, like either watch it or don't. But what I will say is that I don't need to see any more Stephen A's back. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with them acquiring this stuff if it allows, certain things to be better. Like MLB, I know their issue is blackouts. Like, can ESPN fix that? MLB TV, if they're giving like MLB actual analysts a bigger platform, then fine. I'm here for it. But if they're just acquiring all this to, I guess, hoard all the money from the people who need to watch it and don't care about the actual product, then yeah, that would be a problem. So I guess in most terms, I'm not terribly against it. I guess kind of where Jory's coming from. I want to see how the presentation is done. So far, last Monday, they had Rich Eisen back on SportsCenter. He hadn't been on SportsCenter in 22 years or something. Love to see it. Rich Eisen is one of those people in sports that I love to listen to, and really hated the fact that he left ESPN. So if that's the kind of stuff we're getting, new faces on the network, I'm all for it. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to ruin everything. Let's give them a chance to ruin it before we go down that road. This is all Disney doing this, absolutely. David does have a question. What is our take on Anthony Richardson not getting the starting job and Daniel Jones getting the Colts starting job for week 1? Well, the Colts said Daniel Jones is the starter all season. I guess to probably quiet the noise where every week it's like, oh, is Daniel Jones going to start next week? Will Anthony Richardson come back? If they say Daniel Jones is the starter all season, we're just going to look at it that way. But to go with the question, Brett, how do you feel about the Anthony Richardson situation in Indy?
The Anthony Richardson situation, I think it's actually so this is all kind of the fault of both parties, right? Anthony Richardson, on one hand, he shouldn't have been picked where he was. We all knew he was going to be a project, and the Colts picked him at 4. But the fault of the Colts is just not treating him like almost as a project. Like, it was clear he was going to need time to develop, and the Colts just threw him into the fire. I don't want to hear the argument that he didn't play year 1, because he did play for 4 games and he got injured. I'm not giving the Colts some, like, I'm not giving the Colts credit for Anthony Richardson getting hurt and not playing year one outside of those like 4 games.
Right.
That being said, as much as I don't think the Colts really took the time to develop Anthony Richardson and really work with him and get him some, veteran tutelage for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all kind of too. The other half that's on Richardson is he was in the building, since the beginning for when Shane Steichen came. He's had the playbook. He's had time to study up on it. He's had time to work on, adjusting protections and whatever else you needed, right? Like, you can't tell me the Colts were hoping that Daniel Jones would beat out Anthony Richardson. And even with a head start and all the time in the world to prepare, Daniel Jones is able to just walk in and, win the starting job right out from under his nose. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I do think part of this is on Anthony Richardson. Absolutely has to be. But I also think a part of this is just on the Indianapolis Colts for taking what clearly should have been, I think, at least a 2-year project of him just kind of sitting and learning and just absolutely mishandling his growth and development. So I feel like the best option for both parties at this point is to trade Richardson, get some draft capital back, and look for your quarterback of the future in the next year's draft, and hopefully they learned their lesson.
Yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around both sides. The crazy thing is, like you said, he was a project. Normally, if you had a project, they wouldn't get thrown into the starting job right away. Because we have seen guys get drafted high and automatically start week one, but they're usually more accomplished in college and it makes a lot of sense. Anthony Richardson wasn't accomplished in college. Anthony Richardson's flaws were definitely on display at Florida, but the Colts decided to take him anyway. And I feel like we assumed that they were taking him because they're looking to the future. It's almost like they're trying to play it both ways here, in that they get Anthony Richardson. He hasn't lived up to some standard that they all of a sudden have set because they're not competing. Well, if you wanted to compete, Anthony Richardson shouldn't have been your draft pick if you wanted to compete right away. So at some point, the timeline changed, and I don't think that's fair to Anthony Richardson. Now, that also means Anthony Richardson, you have to develop your game as well. So maybe some of that we need to call into question his coaching. Because if we look at that play that happened a couple of weeks ago, where he takes the snap, stands there like a statue, looking to his left, knowing full well the defense was overplaying to the right, and he never looked that way. I mean, that's a lot of that is on Anthony Richardson, yes, but has that not been coached? During practices and training camp, like, are they not teaching him what to do? Like, it's just a failure all around. So I agree with you that if Anthony Richardson wants an NFL career, yes, Dave, we got that. But if Anthony Richardson wants to have an NFL career, it's clearly not going to happen in Indianapolis.
And also, like, at the same time, people want to prioritize the development of the quarterback, which is fine, but you have to develop other positions first, right? Also. And at the end of the day, if, for example, if Anthony Richardson can't get the ball to these playmakers so the Colts can really develop them too, like, then you can't throw them out there. Like, you still have to develop, Pierce and, Mitchell and, Tyler Warren. You still have to develop these other guys. And even if Daniel Jones, doesn't have a great year, but he can, get the ball out to these playmakers and let them get reps in and develop, then that's probably a better scenario than throwing Anthony Richardson out there, whose confidence is probably shot. Mm-hmm. Watch him struggle, and then at that point, nobody wins. The receivers aren't getting quality reps. The team is losing games. Like, I feel like people forget that you also have to develop the wideouts and the tight ends, and you can't just throw a young quarterback that isn't ready out there.
Yep. Yeah, that's completely fair. What's going on, Trajan? Let's see. Can Anthony turn into a Terrell Pryor, just go wide receiver? Well, Terrell Pryor was probably a more exceptional athlete than Anthony Richardson. Your best comp would be
Taysom Hill?
maybe a Logan Thomas who went quarterback to tight end. But I don't know if I want Anthony Richardson going over the middle with his kind of injury history. Because Anthony, you were correct before saying that Richardson was hurt during training camp because he was coming back from was the shoulder injury from like a couple of seasons he's been dealing with the shoulder injury. So he was kind of set back there. But the way the coach should have went about this, you get your Joe Flacco, who I believe they did have, but you get a guy like that, sign him to like a 2-year deal, let Richardson develop under them. That would have been the best case. And then at that year 3 mark, you give Richardson a chance to show the development and see whether or not he can be a starter or not. If by then he hasn't figured it out, then you got to move on. But the way that they've used them, it's like, how much of this is lack of confidence in Richardson because the success hasn't been there? How much of it is, Jory said, Ballard? Calling the question his decision making. How much of it is that, look, the moment we saw Anthony Richardson tap his helmet and walk off the field, like that was it. Everybody involved was like, this isn't the guy. And maybe he just can't come back from that. So I guess spinning it forward, if tomorrow the Colts said Anthony Richardson's on the block, he's available, which team would you like to see take a shot at him? I know David put the last thing he'd want to see is like Baltimore go pick him up and whatever. I mean, Baltimore's done this. Malik Cunningham, guys like that who have some mobility and are kind of underdeveloped. But what would be best for Anthony Richardson's career going forward?
I'm trying to think of places that are really good at developing quarterbacks, right? So the first place that actually comes to mind, ironically, I don't think they'd actually trade for him, but the Green Bay Packers would probably be a fine fit for him. Because I think at some point Malik Willis is, going to end up getting flipped to a different team for draft capital. And when it comes to a team, fixing up quarterbacks and really making them look great, the Packers are pretty second to none in that regard. Obviously, we made Willis look like $1 million after, Tennessee, and obviously developed, 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row, or 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and the jury's still out on Jordan Love, but we at least developed 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks and a third quarterback who's, at worst one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league. But other solutions, why not, send him to Pittsburgh? There's going to be an opening. He can learn behind Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is actually a pretty willing teacher, it seems. Jordan Love learned a lot from him. Otherwise, another place, why not Seattle?
Yeah, there's some interesting spots. I mean, because part of me is wondering, like, if he went to a place that had, like, little to no expectations. Because I saw Anthony put the Cowboys. I mean, you want to put the star in his helmet, and then the minute Dak starts slipping, you have the crowd looking for Anthony Richardson, then he has to go out there with all that pressure. I don't know if that's good for him right now. Anthony agrees with you, Pittsburgh or Seattle. Seattle, there's a little pressure up there, but because they're kind of Pacific Northwest, they're kind of away from it, that could be a good spot for him. I mean, I was thinking only because we talk about this team every week, but a team like the Saints where, you have an offensive-minded coach. Now, there's plenty of problems around the quarterback, but that's a place that if he were to struggle, would anybody really care for the next year or two while he's still trying to figure things out? and that's only using the Saints like their situation. If there's another team kind of like that you think would be better, but would you rather that or like you said, a team like Green Bay or even using the Cowboys or whatever, teams that kind of have expectations as opposed to ones that don't.
you know what? I think destination, the pieces around him matter a ton. So that's why I wouldn't want to see him go to the Saints because
That's fair.
he goes to the Saints, and we're kind of in the same boat, right? He's still not ready. The Saints will just throw him out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they throwing him out there with? They're throwing him out there with like, Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, who are great, but they really can't do everything, and the both of them had injury problems the past couple of years. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather see him go somewhere with like lower expectations. Like I really do like the idea of Seattle or like Pittsburgh, who have some expectations, but we all know that they're not serious title contenders, but
Mm-hmm.
they have room to take in a Richardson and develop him behind a veteran quarterback.
Anthony said, "What about the Lions?"
I mean, I don't really have anything behind Jared Goff, so that could work.
I mean, I root for Hendon Hooker, but I guess it's not going to work there.
I mean, if he can't beat out like a Will Howard or a Hendon Hooker, then yep,
Yeah.
he just isn't going to work.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson's got to be in a good situation. True. So I guess last question before we move on. Looking at the talent of Anthony Richardson, what we've seen on the field, how we kind of view him as a quarterback. Can his career be saved, or is he a guy that 2-3 years from now we're going to see probably in the UFL and go, oh yeah, that's where he finally ended up?
It's definitely heading on more of a downhill trajectory. I don't think it's necessarily over at the end of the day. He's still 22. He still has time.
Mm-hmm.
I just think like if he stays in Indianapolis, it's pretty much over. Like it's clearly his time in Indianapolis should be over.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he still has time to learn. Like I said, he's still young, and you can still develop him. You can still put him behind a vet. But I think the key is he has to get out of Indy, and he might still be able to turn into a quality backup, quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to be like a high end starter, but who says that somebody can't develop him properly and turn him into like, one of the better, backup like emergency spot starters in the league. Like I think that's possible still.
Mm-hmm.
But first step, get out of Indy.
Yeah, he's got to get out of Indy for sure. Anthony Richards can't even beat up my dog. we know. We know Bella's got the talent. All right, so David says Seahawks still haven't found a starting quarterback for week 1. Hope they lean toward Jalen Milroe.
They have their quarterback.
Yeah, they have Darnold. He's gonna start. It is interesting that Milroe will get the start in week 3 of the preseason. I think he's gonna get the whole game to play. So that's clearly the Seahawks giving Milroe a shot to kind of show his skill that if Darnold gets hurt or isn't as effective, and they had to make a switch to see if he could be a guy that would be able to lead them for the rest of the season. So I will be interested to see how he does play. I know preseason you take it with a grain of salt, but for a guy like Milroe, this could be his opportunity to really open some eyes for sure.
No, absolutely. I don't think he'll play it all this year. I think they'll run out Darnold this year, which I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of teams just fall to the temptation of throwing their young guys out there for that instant gratification too early. And there's nothing wrong with sitting year 1 to learn.
Yeah.
So I think Sam Darnold. I think it's smart. Get Jalen Milroe all the time he can preseason, then let him learn behind Sam the rest of the year.
Sounds good.
Who's the backup in Arizona? That would be Jagopi Present.
Yes.
I tried to sneak in Goat in the middle of there, but I don't know if that came off right. But it is Jacoby.
Okay, Anthony, good question here. For the Browns quarterback situation, the circus that it is, he's saying, who is our pick? Keep 4, drop 2. It is crazy they have 6 guys there, but yeah. So keep 4, drop 2. How would you shake it out there?
Yeah, it's so tough. They have 6 guys already. I'm trying to think, right? Like,
so you have
Flacco, Pickett,
Flacco,
Gabriel,
Gabriel
Sanders.
Watson,
Oh, Watson.
Huntley.
I forget that Deshaun
Yeah.
well, Watson's staying there by default because they owe the man way too much money
Yeah.
to cut him. So it's pretty much down to 5. I think you cut Huntley because I mean he's really, you know what? Actually, I'm keeping. You know what? I'm for sure cutting Kenny Pickett. I'd rather keep Snoop Huntley than Kenny Pickett. So I think I would cut Pickett. And then I think it's pretty much a toss-up, right? Who do you like more, Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel? Because I don't really think there's room to develop both of them properly on your roster. So I would personally cut Kenny Pickett. I would maybe look to trade Dylan Gabriel, see what I can get out of him, and I would keep Sanders. Like, this preseason, I was a lot more impressed with what I saw out of Shedeur than Dylan Gabriel. So I would trade Dylan Gabriel, see if there's a market out there for him. And I would do the same with Kenny Pickett, but there probably isn't going to be one, so I'd just cut him.
That's actually, I know where I was going. Like, I would start Flacco. I would have Huntley be the veteran backup. I'd have Shedeur be the number 3. I would maybe trade Pickett because some team, only because he has had some experience, might take him. I would, Watson just kind of has to rot for a little bit longer. And Gabriel, I doubt you could get Gabriel onto the practice squad. So, yeah, I'd probably look to trade Gabriel as well. And that's kind of the way you have to go about it for right now. Like, you don't need Sanders to be your backup, but as the number 3, at least, if something does happen to Flacco, you don't have to throw Sanders out there right away and expose him to maybe some failures early on that may mess with his confidence. Like, you throw Huntley out there, who's an established veteran, while Sanders continues to grow. And then when it is time for Sanders to become the starter, because Flacco probably has this season left in him, then you turn it over to him and you just say, go ahead with it.
I'd say we all know the right answer is cut Watson, but we also know that it's just mathematically impossible.
Yeah.
I saw them dropping the video like, he's ramping it up, and they showed videos of him just like dropping back and throwing some passes. I'm like, that sounds like the worst news that a Browns fan could hear. Like, let's just add Deshaun Watson to all this chaos.
Yes, like, please don't do that. So if Richardson doesn't change, he's going to be the modern day Jamarcus Russell. I mean, you might have actually gotten more out of Richardson's career than Jamarcus Russell at this. Well, no, Russell's all right. No, they're about the same, so I guess I see that. Curran said, hearing NBC will be in the mix for Sunday Night Baseball too. Yeah, NBC is going to have Sunday Night Baseball, Sunday Night Basketball, Sunday Night Football. Their whole calendar is going to be covered. Because that's part of the whole MLB right acquisition stuff. Like, Apple TV is losing Friday Night Baseball to how's it going? Well, this is the rumor, which might be announced any day now, but I'm trying to remember how it goes because we talked about it the other day. But Home Run Derby is going to Netflix. I remember that, which would love to see what people's thoughts are on that. Apple TV is losing Friday Night Baseball, which will go to, is it like Prime Video or something like that? And then the Sunday Night Baseball to NBC, Peacock, or whatever. It's something like that. I'd have to look it up again. But David says Shador too, but everything he said is so true. Mm-hmm. I have Apple TV, but their product is weird. Apple TV for baseball programming wasn't bad. Like they gave you all these advanced analytics and stats and stuff on the screen. Like it was cool to look at. I guess it was a little weird watching it on Apple TV. But we kind of had to get used to it. Like right now, Apple TV has MLS. That's like their big stake in the sports world, and they were trying to expand on that with baseball little by little. But yeah, I don't think it was working necessarily all that well. So ESPN got all football and Disney and Hulu. Amazing. Yeah, pretty much. DVR situation is the only thing. Yeah. It's a weird time. Also, you got to remember ESPN has NHL again. That's what I'm trying to say. Because ESPN got out of NHL, it went to TNT, and now it's like back. So it's love it or hate it. Like it's gonna be where you're gonna go to watch your sport. But let's go ahead, get into the tier rankings because that's why we are all here.
It is cheaper to go NFL. I have NFL Plus.
Yeah. So the thing that they are doing, like the NFL Plus Premium, I believe will be bundled with the new ESPN. And I think that's supposed to cost, it's like $29 a month, I guess. And NFL Plus Premium right now is like $14.99.
I think something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, so I mean ESPN as a standalone is like $39. I don't know. It's so confusing. There's so many details that need to come out right now, but yeah, once it all shakes out, I'm sure we'll talk about it. It's still so much up in the air right now.
Say $16 with tax, $16.11.
Okay.
So, no, it would really suck if it jumped all the way to 30 because it's like, oh, then there goes my NFL Plus.
Well, I guess it'd be bundled together, and so I don't know. Like I said, it's just so much right now. I don't know. Let's see. MLB games would move to NBC Peacock. They'd also add Sunday exclusive games and Wild Card. Netflix, we already paid for cable, and in order to view it, the channel need to be changed. I won't do it. Yes, so that is right. They get Sunday exclusive and Wild Card. Yes, and Netflix has the Home Run Derby. That's how it works. Okay. Tier list as your. Go ahead, Brett.
No, I'll say the streaming services are too much, man. I just want to watch football. I don't want to order like 87 streaming services to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, the lowest tier is the Wishbone. Come on, that's an all-time classic.
I tried to keep it somewhat NFL centric. So, as you saw in the description, we're gonna rank skill positions. And yes, you see the categories. I have air raid. That's like your explosive offense, high scoring. You have the spread offense, which is just a tier below. Run and shoot, tier below that. And then the only thing I think of was Wishbone, which is like that skill position group. It ain't it.
Say primitive and old. I get it.
Yeah. I only need to get Peacock for NBA and get League Pass as usual.
This might go to every year is NBA League Pass.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, it's kind of going to be the similar order as our other tier list. And look, those of you in the chat, we definitely want to hear from you as we go through these teams as well. So let's start with the Rams. Look, wait, I guess we'll set the parameter. We're going to do this not counting the quarterback. Correct. We're going to look at your running back, I guess like 2 wide receivers, and maybe the tight end, I guess. Is that
works for me?
All right. So let's start with the Rams. They did get Devontae Adams. You have Kyron Williams. You have Puka Nakua. Tight end, is it still
Tyler
Higbee?
Higbee.
Yeah, good old Higbee. Where are we putting the Rams?
This offense should actually be pretty nutty because, like I said, with Williams, Adams, Puka, Higbee, like Tutu Atwell is going to feast because nobody's going to be worried about him. I think this Rams offense could just be very well explosive. So I think at worst it's a spread, but I'm comfortable putting it in air raid. I think this is going to be a fun offense.
We'll put air raid. I do think it is going to be up there. Like I said, not counting the quarterback. Obviously, Stafford with the back injury, but we're not taking that into account. Kyron Williams, all he does is produce. We know Devontae Adams. Yeah, he had a bit of a down year last year, but a lot of that was the situation he was in. The Rams should be much better. Like I said, Atwell, even as a third option, he can eat as well. So, yeah, I think the Rams are definitely one of the elite skill position groups in the league, at least on paper. Got to play the games, though. The Browns.
Wishbone.
I mean, yeah.
Njoku's
nice. Judy's nice. After that, it's sure.
Their entire offense is just going to be 3-yard runs and Flacco 45-yard bombs to Jerry Judy. Like, It's going to be the most hit or miss thing weekly. Like, it's either going to be stupid entertaining to watch because Flacco's going to turn back the clock, or it's going to be the worst thing you've ever seen. And I feel like there's no in between with this offense.
Right. All right. The Falcons. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. Oh, man.
I was so excited, and then I heard Kyle Pitts.
So here's the crazy thing. Falcons, the organization's making it seem like this is the year to trust Kyle Pitts. They're going to make a concerted effort to get him the ball. That's what Penix has said. That's what coaches are saying. Like Pitts' body language says the same. And Drake London, like love him or hate him, he's been kind of steady with production despite who's been at quarterback.
Oh. Well, guys, you heard it. Draft Kyle Pitts for the 5th year in a row. Kidding.
I'm not saying to do it because I've done it a couple years and hated myself by like week 4. I'm not putting myself through it again.
Outside of his rookie year, no, do not draft Kyle Pitts again until he shows you something.
Don't do it.
Either they'd have to put them almost either in. They're interesting because like the potential is there, but man, they just might be run and gun. I don't know.
That's kind of where I was looking at it.
Like I keep eyeing up run and gun for them.
Yeah,
I do like Drake London and Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
And like theoretically they can make it all the way to like spread or like a really fun offense if Kyle Pitts shows up this year. If he shows up this year, this is going to be a really fun offense. But if he does, then it just kind of gets predictable because then I just shut down, London and Robinson, and then they really don't have much going after that.
Yeah. Put that in the chat so people know when they're coming in, what we got going on right now. And look, even a Darnell Mooney, opposite Drake London, like Mooney has his moments. He's not like a great wide receiver in any way, but he'll give you a random game one week where he has like 100 receiving yards and like a couple of touchdowns, and then he might disappear for 2-3 weeks. But he seems like a decent compliment at least to Drake London. But yeah, run and shoot was where I was going to put them anyway. So the Chargers, you're looking at Amari Hampton, Keenan Allen, Quinn Johnston, and tight end for them would be
Disley or Conklin. Pick your poison.
Yeah.
I don't even think that this one was pretty easy for me. I think that this is pretty much just a tier. It's funny because like Justin Herbert could elevate this to like a spread offense, but this is like the most run and gun offense that like I've seen. Right, like I like Ladd. Like Ladd is a great talent.
Yeah.
Like Hampton showed flashes in preseason. Keenan Allen might have something left in the tank, but like
Mm-hmm.
the problem is I'm saying a lot of what ifs, right? And
Yeah.
like he has like there's really no sure thing on this roster that gets me excited. Obviously, there's Herbert, and then 3 yards in a cloud of dust and Najee Harris. I do
Mm-hmm.
like the obviously Joe Alt is fantastic. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think that this is a run and gun tier offense. I think that their success is going to be more reliant on getting it done in situational football more than actually, putting up a lot of points to beat the other team and controlling the clock.
I mean, if you want to describe a Harbaugh offense, that's basically Harbaugh's offense right there. Kyle Pitts over under 525 and a half receiving yards. Let's see. That's an interesting number.
The number with him is always skewed because you always think like, well, in his rookie year, he had like 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, maybe he does it again. And then you realize that, you're trying to bet on Kyle Pitts. And at that point, probably should just call the number.
This may be crazy. I think he could get over that.
I don't think it's crazy. He's shown he can, but like I don't know what it is at this point with him. Ooh, Derek Harmon just got carted off with a knee injury against the Panthers. Steelers' first round pick.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. So I will say over. Now, if that over is enough to get you drafting Kyle Pitts, there you go. See, Kerm gets it. Never drafting Pitts again. And watch, we're all going to say that, and Pitt's going to have like a career year this year now.
The worst part is like it's always easy to say I'm not drafting Pitts until it's like round 8, and you still don't have a tight end.
Yeah, and his name's sitting there. Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, like you're like, Kyle Pitts might not be bad this year. Yeah. Like that's the couple times I got sold on him. It wasn't really because I wanted to, but it's also because I just ignored the tight end position for too long, and you're just looking like either Higbee or Kyle Pitts. I guess we'll go with the upside of Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's not having me stuck it up. Drafting Pitts is like drafting CMC. It's a gamble. Yep. That's why we love fantasy, though.
Fair enough.
The Niners. Questions at wide receiver. We just talked CMC health questions. They had George Kittle getting a little longer in the tooth. Where are we putting the Niners?
This offense is going to be so just. I hate this offense. I think it's going to be so bad. I think if we're being nice, we can put them into like run and gun, but like that's the nicest thing I can say about him. Christian McCaffrey, between me and him, we have a combined 2 good ankles, and I think I have both of them. Say Ayuk's probably out for half the year. Juwan Jennings, he's dealing with stuff right now too. So, and even if he wasn't like wide receiver 1, Juwan Jennings, I'm not sold on it. So I think the talent's there, obviously, with Kittle, and I do think as beat up as he's been, CMC is absolutely such a special talent when healthy. So I think he could bounce back this year, but once again, that's just a lot of what ifs for me to feel comfortable to put them in spread.
I feel, because I think run and shoot was where my mind went. So I feel like that's where we'll put them. But yeah, if Ayuk looks like a number 1, if CMC's healthy, Kittle stays productive, then yeah, they could be spread level quality. But right now, yeah, I think run and shoot where we got to put them. What's going on, Tony? Panthers. Panthers are a fun one. Ted McMillan or Tetaroa, I guess I want to just say the whole thing, but Ted, Thielen, Hubbard.
I hilariously enough like the Panthers offense better than all three in running gun.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of where they are.
I think they could have like a sneaky good offense this year. Like, they could have a tier 2 offense, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Ted McMillan and Bryce, have shown to have their chemistry. It's off in preseason, but you can see the signs that like midseason it could really explode. Thielen and Leggett, like, that's a great duo. Chuba Hubbard, like, honestly, a player just no, that's fair.
I think we go bold and put him in spread.
I'm okay with that. I like being bold. Let's put him in spread.
All right.
But my favorite way of saying a player is just booty is when you see like the announcers having to enunciate like, a former first round pick, like, dog, just say he's a bust at that point.
Right.
I'm sorry, but like when they enunciate like a former first round pick, that just means like, yeah, this guy's been disappointing, but this is the nicest thing that we can say about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Seahawks. JSN, Charbonnet, Walker. I'm blanking on these wide receivers.
JSN, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp. Duh, that's what they got in free agency. If Walker and Charbonnet are right, I think that bumps them up a tier. If they struggle like last year, I'd be worried.
If the offensive line can simply keep this, keep Darnold protected, they have the potential to be a spread, like a tier 2 offense. I think the potential is there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like Walker, I like Charbonnet, and behind them you have guys like, even though he does have drop issues, guys like Valdez-Scantling can still, stretch the field. So, like, to me, Mo, yeah. To me, Kyle, the potential's there to be a tier 2 offense. I don't know how bold you want to do this, but I think they're like, the safe bet is to say run and gun, but to me, I could see this potentially being a fun offense, actually.
I'm going tier 2.
Okay.
I just really like Walker and Charbonnet, and I don't think Darnold's going to be terrible, so I do think JSN and those guys will have opportunities to make plays. So, yeah, I think they have definitely a fun element to them that they probably deserve to be on level 2. The Bills. James Cook, now back in the fold. You have Knox and Kincaid at tight end. You have Shakir, Coleman out wide.
I feel like that when it comes to the Bills, they always seem to find a way to be an air raid offense. They always seem to be more, explosive. So it's funny, like, you look at the weapons that they have, and it looks more like it should be in spread, but they always find a way to, really produce when they need it. So I think they're like probably median consensus is spread, but I think the potential to be a higher scoring offense is there. But it's a lot of that's going to fall on Josh Allen, so probably put them in like a spread category.
Yeah. Right, because we're supposed to take the quarterback out of this. And I do think that Allen is the reason why that they do so well. So I think spread works perfectly for them. All right, your Packers. Golden, Jacobs, Watson, Dubs, Kraft.
Yeah, I'm gonna take them being I'll take them being. I think them. You know what? I think they're an air raid offense.
Okay.
I think they have a ton of weapons and a great scheme. Obviously, I think. Let me put it this way with Golden. I don't think that the Packers don't draft wide receivers unless there's something really special about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Golden will end up being a great talent. I think they must have seen something really good in him, and he's looked terrific, and by all accounts, coming out of camp, he's just a great talent. So this is an offense that last year, even with all the drop issues, was still a top 10 offense in football. And all these guys, I think they're just going to get a year older with experience and adding Golden. I think this is an air raid offense. I think them and you know what? I think the Bills are an air raid offense too. Actually, now more than I'm thinking about it, I think them and the Bills are going to be once again among the top skill position and offensive groups in the league.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I would have put them. I feel like that when you look at the guys that they have there, drop issues aside, they get open, then that's half the battle. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm putting them there too. Oh, the Saints.
No, you know what to do.
We do this every week, and we're sorry. It's we can't help it. We're gonna find one week where they're not bottom tier. I don't know where, but we're gonna find
honestly, if we rank their offensive line, I think they have a lot of fun young pieces on the offensive line.
Yeah.
But after that, it's just maybe we'd rank Chris Olave high on the top wide receivers list. It's just slim pickings. This roster's old, expensive, and has an insanely low ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to be optimistic about them. Sorry, Will.
Hey, it's just for the exercise.
Hey, it's all right. Will understands.
yeah. Will would definitely agree. The Raiders, Kobe Myers, Brock Bowers, Genty, who Genty alone may raise their level to some.
The running back and tight ends scream spread, but their wide receivers point to almost run and gun. So this one is so tough because I think I'm pretty comfortable with them and run and gun. This offense is just going to be a lot of control the clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put together long sustained drives using Genty and the tight ends. I'm not a big fan of their wideout room.
Mm-hmm.
But between, Bowers, Mayer, and Genty, I think the talent's there to, control the clock and win games like that. And I think they'll be that team that they'll maybe win 5 or 6 games. They won't win a lot, but they'll be competitive. And half those wins will probably come down the stretch and they play spoiler.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. They would fit somewhere in spread or run and shoot. But I think because of the wide receiver position, I think it's fair to knock them down. But yeah, they're a team that end of the year, they could be a tier 2 offense. Only because Bowers showed last year that he's a tough cover. And if Genty is as good as everybody is projecting him to be, then yeah, they could very well be tier 2. America's team, the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Ferguson at tight end, and then running back.
Cowboys, America's team, they're in the news lately for all of the wrong reasons. It's so tough. It really does feel like at the end of the day that this is still going to be a high-scoring offense. I like the skill position group. We're running CD Pickens, and Jalen Tolbert to me is a fine number 3. Ferguson, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders. I think that this is probably if we're talking skill position group, the median I think is spread, but I think you could make a good argument that this is also could very well be an explosive air raid team as long as everybody stays healthy.
Yeah. I feel like spread is a safe bet right now. Potential's there. I want to see the running back position. Obviously, you said Miles Sanders. Like Miles Sanders seemingly hasn't had a good year since he left Philly. I don't feel like he did much of anything in Carolina. I think he was hurt sometime up there, but now with the Cowboys, I don't know. I still think the Cowboys' run game is going to be the weakest part of their offense, but somebody could emerge and they may be better than I think. But I'll leave them in spread. How about the Bears? They did a lot for the O-line, but that's not part of this. But you have a Dunze, Swift in the backfield.
Kmet. This is going to be a fun offense. This is going to be. I think this is another team that I think at worst they're going to be a spread offense, but I think this team has real air raid potential between Caleb Adunze, Moore. Like, there's a lot of talent on this offense. So if they're not at least spread, I'm going to be disappointed. But you know what? I actually have faith in the Bears this year. They're still going to lose to the Packers twice a year, Damian, but
right.
I know he's not watching right now, but I always have to throw it out there. Much love, though.
Yeah. I'm also with DJ Moore and I know we've seen some of the struggles from Caleb Williams in trading camp. That everybody shows that video of him with the net and just completely missing. But I think once the season starts, he should be fine. I wouldn't overreact to that right now. Now, if he starts off the year struggling, then you might want to be worried a little bit. But I feel like Ben Johnson will get him situated, and they should be fine. So spread offense with potential to be one of the better ones if everything clicks for them. Colts, who we spent a lot of time talking about earlier in the show. Now let's look at their position group. You have Jonathan Taylor, Pittman Jr., Pierce. How are we feeling about them? Like Taylor has a lot of miles on the body, but
you know what's funny? I think the talent is there for the Colts. Like I said, that's the annoying part about this Colts team, right? Like the talent is there. Just the most important position is not. But when we're looking at Pittman, Downs, Pierce, Warren, like that's a great offense right there. Like I like what I see from the Colts skill position group. I think they'll be closer to like a run and gun offense, but a lot of that, like if you were just ranking these skill positions like we're doing now, then I think you could make a decent argument that they could, be a higher powered offense, and like the talent, like the skill position screams spread, but all other factors are saying that this is going to be a run and gun offense.
I was thinking run and gun. We'll put them run and gun. But I think that's fair that better quarterback play, we'd probably look at them a little higher. Like I said, we're supposed to keep the quarterback out of this.
So hard. It's so hard with the Colts.
It's hard not to. Yeah.
Especially with the Colts because they're so good. Like I like their actual like offensive skill positions, but then I just have to remember never mind. They don't have a real thrower of the football, so.
Yeah, that's life as a Colts fan if you are one. All right, so now we have the Miami Dolphins. Waddle, Tyreek Hill. We know the usual suspects. You got Achane, Jalen Wright, I guess in the backfield. Darren Waller, fresh out of retirement.
I, this is a team that needed to rely on Darren Waller coming out of retirement to fill their tight end spot. Like this just screams disaster. Yeah, I'm not falling for this trap. This is a team that has all the pieces to be a higher powered offense, but I think this is a run and gun team.
Completely agree. That's where I would have put him. McDaniel on the hot seat, he absolutely is. If he isn't, he should be. All right, so Kerm put question marks. What are the question marks for? So if
He's
you're
asking.
wondering, I guess what the
I think it's with the Mike
I was just
McDaniel
asking
on the
about
hot seat.
is he on the hot seat? Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
he is.
that seat's burning.
Yeah. Especially after last season, it should be like threat level midnight for us Office fans. But like he's a guy who can't afford a slow start because he could be a in-season firing easily. He could be the first one fired for all we know, depending on how the Dolphins start their year. And that's with, the day ball implications in New York. A guy like Raheem Morris in Atlanta is somebody that you should be looking for. Or, I don't know, Stefanski in Cleveland. Like if that circus becomes an embarrassment on the field, he's a guy who could be gone in season. But I think McDaniel, if you had to bet, could be the first guy fired this year.
Tyreek should have been traded in the offseason, but I hope they deal him before the deadline. I think that marriage has run its course.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like, and it seems like with Tyreek Hill, it's like anywhere he goes, it's kind of short lived at this point. Because either he gets upset with somebody or the team, or he doesn't perform. It's like he can't stay anywhere too long now. But let's keep these teams cranking up. Patriots, which
run and gun.
Yeah.
Especially losing like Jalen Polk for the year. They have Diggs and but after that it gets kind of sketchy for me if I'm looking at the Patriots. Demario Douglas, I think he's going to produce. Hunter Henry is fine. Let's say TikTok legend Austin Hooper, overall, I think this is going to be another offense where it's not going to be flashy. It's just going to be a lot of run the ball, control the clock, and hope your defense gets a couple turnovers to win the game. But I don't think this offense is going to be spectacular in the slightest.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so much turnover, it's kind of hard to think so. Like, even the wide receiver group, it's, Booty from last year was the one guy who did well, so he's kind of cemented his spot. You have Kyle Williams as a rookie, Diggs coming off the injury. Hunter Henry will probably be the most consistent of the group, but, he's also getting kind of up there in age as well. So, yeah, run and gun, I have no problem with that. How about the Lions?
Air raid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
too much talent on this team for them not to be an air raid offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what they've been the last couple of years. So they lost Ben Johnson, but I still don't think anything changes. I think it's still going to be the same. I think it's still going to be a very explosive offense.
Right. All right, let's keep going. The Bengals, the side of the ball they're proud of.
Yeah,
Higgins, Chase. You have Chase Brown in the backfield. You have Gesicki at tight end. I mean,
yeah, once again, I think this is air raid.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any question. This is the one side of the ball, offensive skill position, that they just loaded up on.
That they actually care about.
Yes.
Outside the offensive line.
That shows.
Even with their offense, they can't do it right because they haven't fixed up front. So even that, they're incomplete. Defense, they neglect, but offense, the most important part, which is to protect your quarterback, they've neglected that.
Oh,
how the Bengals win any games, I'll never know.
Like I said, if they make it to the wild card, Joe Burrow's winning MVP.
Yeah. Zach Taylor might just be coach of the year.
I'm not giving that man coach of the year.
I mean,
he needs to get the early boot and go coach his fantasy football team, but he shouldn't be the coach of the Bengals.
right. All right. Well, Jory, you are in here. Your Titans are up next. You have, well, I know this name's going to, I'm looking at their depth chart. They have Van Jefferson. Let's assume he's not going to be there after that drop. So looking at Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, who I love that pickup for them. You have Tony Pollard, who had a good year last year. Spears as a backup. Okonkwo at tight end. Gunnar Helm. Their tight end group is actually kind of good. I like some of their guys there. So how are we feeling about their skill position group?
Not overwhelmingly great. Like, I don't think that.
Cottrell has a problem with our Browns positioning.
Oh. Browns being that low is crit.
You know what? Hold on. Let me see the Browns again. All right. Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, Jamari Thrash. I don't know who that is. Njoku, Jerome Ford. What are we missing? Deontay Johnson.
He just wants some one lineup.
Cottrell, you got to convince me a little more than that. I'm willing to listen to it, Cottrell. You put a good argument in the chat, we'll move them up.
I think Jeudy and
Njoku, Johnson. I mean, but Deontay Johnson doesn't like cold weather. And goes from Baltimore to Cleveland. Potential. Okay. That's fair.
The looking at our list so far, the only team I'm thinking that we should probably move up is like the Bills, but I'm very comfortable with the Browns just not being a great offense. I mean, sure, they have some potential on offense, but
he's good until October.
As soon as it hits October 1st, trade them.
So sign them for the first 4 weeks and then deal them. All right.
Titans, I'm not very high on the Titans, and it's one of those situations where I think some teams are just like you're not high on because they're bad, like the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
But the Titans are more so I'm not high on them because they're young. And also, like, I think the wide receivers, they have a solid veteran group of wide receivers, but I don't think that's going to lead to a very fun and explosive offense, considering, their bell cow backs are like Pollard and Tajay Spears. Like, I think that this team is going to peak as like a run and gun, like tier 3 offense, but this could just very well be, it could very well be a wishbone offense. And I don't think that's anything to panic about this year.
Right. I mean, it's like you said, they have, some guys. Well, look, their offense in general is one that's going to be wait and see because they have, Jory knows the pronouncement, but Ayamanor, the dude from Stanford who they drafted. They have DK who they drafted as well. Like, those guys, if they develop, could maybe push. Well, look, Van Jefferson shouldn't be starting. After that drop, don't put him out there. I'd rather you put the rookie out there and let him learn on the job than put. Because if you're a vet like Van Jefferson, you're going to drop a pass like that hits you in the palm of your hands. You need to sit down somewhere. Like the fact that Cam Ward put that in the position that he did as a young guy, like that's reason for optimism. But if guys like Van Jefferson are going to drop it, it's like, well, what are we doing here? Packers have 4 wide receiver 2s.
It's like one more wide receiver 2 than the Browns have. Shout out Jerry Judy, I guess, but also, like, I think, I do think that Jerry Judy has talent, but he
Yeah.
can't be the wide receiver one. He showed that in Denver. It's not. He had. If you say Jerry Judy, for the love of everything holy, no, he's not wide receiver one. Or it's first 4 week Deontay Johnson wide receiver one. I'm willing to bet that goal.
So here's what I'll give Control. I'm not gonna lie, Jerry Judy's numbers from last year higher than I thought. He had 90 catches and almost 1,300 yards. I never would have guessed that those were his numbers last year. I just don't. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns, which as a number one, maybe like to see that a little bit higher, but almost 1,300 yards is a little crazy.
I got to give Cottrell crap.
I know. Well, I just had to look it up for myself because Jerry Judy's a guy that I do like. It's just I could never understand why he just couldn't work in Denver. Then he went to Cleveland, and to be honest with you, didn't watch a lot of Cleveland last year, but he had a good year. And that's what their quarterback situation as it was as well. Will it be better this year? Like you said, he'll probably get 4 touchdowns in a couple of weeks with Flacco just throwing it deep to him. Look, you mentioned Damian, took him a couple of minutes, and here he is in the chat.
Damian, I fought to get the Bears on the tier 2 offense list for you. Come on, you got to throw me something here. Look, I think underrate the Packers' weapons at your own peril. Like, I think that they do have a great array of weapons. I think they have a lot of weapons to throw at people.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, too, they're going to be at some point probably getting Christian Watson back at some point in the season. Like, I'm telling you right now, don't sleep on the Packers offense and the Packers weapons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as far as the Dolphin goes, I was being nice to the Bears. I was being nice to the Bears also. Come on now.
Yeah.
But
Damien, we're both high. We're both positive on the Bears. Tier 2 is not bad. You see the other teams on that tier. It's not a bad place to be. I mean, Control's making an interesting point for the Browns. I'm keeping that in the back of my mind. But let's get through a couple more of these teams here. Eagles, I think we have to put air raid.
easily.
AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, like there's no questioning there. Dallas Goedert is a guy who, is very good at his position. And he has Saquon Barkley, so that's the easiest one there. Game is sometimes right on things. There you go. All right, so the Jaguars. Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby. Is that doing it for you? Hold on, pulling up their.
Not really. Like, obviously, they also have
they have Travis Hunter. Brenton Strange is their tight end.
Yeah, I'm not moved at all by this offense. I don't mind putting him in run and gun. I think Brian Thomas might save him by himself from being completely sad, but
I feel like Cottrell might have something to say about that one.
And they also have Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to move the Browns up one, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I'm saying since Cottrell's monitoring who we put above the Browns, I wonder what he thinks about the Jags. I agree. Look, Brian Thomas had a great rookie year. Expect him to have a similar, if not better, second season.
I will say, if the Jags are run and gun, then the Browns should probably be run and gun too, because it's so.
Yeah.
So I will say we should either move the Browns up one or the Jags down one.
Like I said, the Judy 1,300 yards thing is killing me. I feel like we gotta give him credit just for that.
He had like 250 of those against the Broncos on a random game.
I mean,
Jerry Judy's just so like boomer bust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just randomly will have like 4 games a year where he's just gonna go nutty for like 150, and then he'll go for like he had a 200-yard game, and then like when you really need him, it's just gonna be like, yeah, 3 catches for 24 yards, and you're just like, okay. No, he has talent. He's just, I don't know what it is. He has talent, but just very boomer bust. It seems quite often.
Right. That's been my thing with him too. Is like you see what he's capable of, but it's like it's not always on display. I'm looking at the game log just to see how these catches happen.
Because it's literally just like a 235-yard game, like 300-yard games, like a 94-yard game somewhere, and then it's just like a crap ton of games, like 20 yards, 35 yards.
235 against a Denver defense that's decent, pretty good.
Oh yeah, that was a great game by him.
But he had 12 catches against the Dolphins. He had 11 catches against Kansas City. He had 6 catches for 142 yards against the Saints. Sorry to kill them again. Saints just can't avoid any strays at this point. So
at the end of the day, with him, I need to see him do it again this year. Like I think he like barely missed 1,000 yards 1 year. Other than that, it's just like a lot of like 700-yard seasons. There's even like a 400-yard season in there. So like, I want to believe in Jerry Jeudy, but I'm gonna need to see like him to put together another year like he had this year for me to go, yeah, you know what? Maybe Jerry Jeudy is the guy. But until then, it just kind of feels like this might just be a blip.
Yeah, look, I'm there with you. Let's see him back it up with another year like that. Let's just say like at least another 1,000-yard year. I don't need him to be around 1,300 again. But the Broncos, you're looking at Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Evan Ingram, R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. How are we feeling about this Broncos skill position group?
Uh-oh. Say he's back.
Like the Panthers.
Listen, it's the bold prediction. The Panthers are coming this year.
Yes.
Ted McMillan, Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, Chuba Hubbard.
Yes. Or the Bills. Okay, see, Control's just questioning everybody.
Listen, I'm here for the Panthers. I think that the Panthers are going to have a surprising offensive year.
Yes.
Like, it's funny. Out of all the teams that in the spread, like, offense there for like offensive like skill positions, the 2 teams I feel most passionate about probably are the Panthers, and ironically, like, you know, I respect what the Bears are doing.
Yeah, the Panthers are definitely our bold prediction for this one.
Browns got moved up on that.
Like I said, I'm not gonna lie, the Jerry Jeudy year is what did it for me. I want Shotty to run the ball more. Well, okay. You don't go get Pickens to run the ball more. You got to air it out. Pickens might choke somebody if you don't throw him the ball.
Broncos, let's say very. Gosh, I don't want to overcrowd the run and gun category, but I don't know if the Broncos feel like they're going to have like. They might have a tier 2 offense, but it feels like that they're going to be very tier 3 coded.
I like Cortland Sutton. I will say that, but yeah, I think that's where they belong. If Dallas has that, I would be fine with it. All right, the Giants. Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyrone Tracy Jr., Devin Singletary, Cam Scatterbo, Theo Johnson at tight end, Daniel Bellinger. They also have Jalen Hyatt at wide receiver as well.
Yeah, this is going to be probably a tier 4 offense. I think this is what's going to sink the Giants. It's not going to be great. I like Malik Neighbors, but after that, like, are you like really going to sell me on? Hey guys, Cam Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy are going to carry us, or
Darius Slayton.
Darius Slayton and Jalen Hyatt in year
Yeah.
5. Like, I'm not. No, this is going to be a really bad Giants offense.
Reverend Jameis will be the influence.
I say
No, I agree there. Yeah. Outside of Malik Neighbors, it's a lot of guys that
Malik
don't scare you.
Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy just very well might lead the league in targets this year.
Yeah. And Tyron Tracy out of like sheer protection of the quarterbacks.
Say, just as the safety valve, he's getting like 150 receptions this year.
All right, up next, Vikings. We all know Justin Jefferson,
gosh.
obviously. Jalen Naylor, Ty
Easy.
Felton, as Addison has a suspension.
Air raid, not a doubt. With the Vikings offense, oof.
Aaron Jones,
Jay Jettis, Hawkinson, like, I can just say, like, there's the number 1 wide receiver, tight end, and running back, and it's like, yep, air raid. Then you add in, like, Addison and Jones, Hawkinson, Jettis, yeah. That's a lot.
Vikings have a good offense. Yep. Look, for J.J. McCarthy, there are worse positions to be in than to have those guys out there for you to throw the ball to. The Cardinals will be an interesting one. We love talking Kyler Murray, even though the quarterback is out of this. But Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. They have Zay Jones as well. You have James Conner, Trey Benson, Trey McBride. Where are you putting the Cardinals' skill position?
Not great. Like, you have Marvin Harrison, and I guess, like, literally you have the index.
McBride. I'm a big McBride guy.
Well, yeah, you have the index on, like, your entire offense on Marvin Harrison and, like, Trey McBride. And, like,
Connor had a good year too.
Even that, like, it's not great. Like, I'm not a big fan of this offense. I think the nice thing to do would put them in, tier 3. But I think that's the absolutely highest that I can put this offense in.
Yeah.
Say, James Conner's consistent. But, yeah, I'm not very moved by him. Like, Terrell's right. Like, this is, like, tier 3.5. Like, if there's a tier between run and gun and wishbone, like, that's where I'd have the Arizona Cardinals. But Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride and Connor, like, those three are too good to keep them out of there.
Yeah. All right, the Ravens, the group that isn't supporting Lamar Jackson, because it's always their fault. But I mean, it's fascinating. So you have DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, of course, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Justice Hill, who was like top 3 in receptions on the team last year. So I guess you got to throw him into this.
Did Jay with them, right? This team just very well might be an air raid just off Derrick Henry alone. Like, Derrick Henry, and the threat of his run just opens up so much for this offense. And then you have guys like Bateman, Nuke, and Zay Flowers, who I think that's more than enough. You add in like Isaiah Likely and
tier 2
Mark
is
Andrews spread.
Tier 2 spread, yeah.
I think the lower end of the Ravens is saying they're a tier 2 offense, but I think just based off of Derrick Henry and what you can do out of the play action alone, like. I think this is an air raid offense.
All right. So we got to finish up here. The Chiefs, which Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice. They got Juju, Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Kelsey, Noah Gray. We know the names.
How high are you on Xavier Worthy?
That's a good question.
It feels like that's what this comes down to, right?
Yeah.
Like Rashee Rice is getting suspended like midway
Mm-hmm.
through the season. Like it, and even on the field, like having Rice and Worthy, I think is good because then you have two burners. But still, it Hollywood Brown, like this offense, they got a lot of names that are fast, but also not a lot of names that like really move me. So it's like I think they're a lot closer to run and gun than air raid. Let me put it that way.
Okay, because I was gonna say probably spread, which I guess would split the difference.
Say we can put them in spread, but yeah, they're just weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just don't really like many of their offensive weapons. Like Travis Kelsey is just kind of old at this point. Like I think he showed last year he doesn't have much left in the tank, and yeah, it's going to be another year of them having to win situational football games and hope those one-score games go in their favor.
Right, because it kind of like what he showed last year. He's going to kind of start off slow and slowly ramp it up.
Right.
Although he did say like last season he was caught between athlete and entertainer and podcaster, and that's not going to be a thing this year.
I almost want to put the Chiefs and run and gun and bump a couple of these run and gun teams up the spread in all reality. Like if we're talking just offensive weapons, I think like the Falcons have better offensive weapons than the Chiefs. I think I can maybe see. I'm not sure about the Chargers, but yeah, no, I think the Falcons definitely have a better set of weapons. Even just off of Bowers, Mayer, and Genty alone, I think that could bump the Raiders above the Chiefs. Like,
okay,
I'll say.
Because once again, this is another team where it's tough because we're supposed to keep the quarterback out of it, but a lot of it is Mahomes does.
I would almost consider doing a trade. I'd rather put the Falcons in spread and then bump the Chiefs down. Because if we're just rating their skill positions, it's not good.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I propose being bold, even though this is going to get us killed, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Because once again, like you got to tell people, we're not using Mahomes because Mahomes obviously would bump them up higher, but Hollywood Brown has been kind of non-existent most of his career. Rice, like you said, is going to get suspended. Worthy is like a good, gadget receiver, speed and everything like that. But like you said, with Rice and all those guys, if they weren't there, if Kelsey starts slow, I guess defenses would have an easier time defending Worthy.
Like at the end of the day, what I see is an offense with a lot of speed and drop issues. Like it feels like that's where this Chiefs offense is going to go.
Yeah. All right. The Bucks. Baker Mayfield's Bucks. You're looking at Mike Evans, obviously. Jalen McMillan, although I think he got hurt in the preseason. We'll see how his year is. Godwin, I think is just off the PUP list or something. Bucky Irving, we both like him as a running back. Rashad White's still there. Cade Otton. Emeka Ibuka, who they did draft as well. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Bad group.
I do like the Buccaneers. I think that this could very well just end up being in the spread offense tier. Just between like Emeka and Mike Evans alone and Bucky Irving, like that's a great big three. And that's not me counting Chris Godwin because obviously he's hurt. And I don't think he really comes back till later in the year. But in all reality, if I'm adding Chris Godwin, like put him in air raid. Like this is an air raid offense.
Okay.
I'll let you make the final call on that, but I don't know.
Evans and Godwin, when they are in the field, like they are a much better offense. And Bucky Irving, the way that he came on last year, Cade Otton kind of slept on.
Even without him, you got Mike Evans, you got the young, receiver, and Emeka they just drafted. He's looking like he's going to be a really good one. Like,
Yeah, Damon, we're just doing skill positions minus the quarterback. That's what these
Yes.
rankings are. Yes,
So
we're expecting the Bears to have a better season than the Cowboys, obviously. Cowboys have their own issues, a lot of them, but just offensively, skill position. Let's get to these last four. The Jets.
um
Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. I guess if he's there or not, because there's like questions around him. Um,
if you want to be nice, you can put them in air, in a run and gun. I almost actually said air raid, but run and gun. But this is not going to be a good offense. Like I think the Justin Fields to Garrett Wilson offense, connection is what will carry this. But like Brees Hall didn't
Josh
really.
Reynolds, Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, like Brees Hall didn't really look the same after coming back from injury. The wide receivers are not good behind Garrett Wilson, so it's just going to be him getting double covered and bracketed a lot. Overall, this is if you want to put this in wishbone, and it's one of the worst offenses in the league, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I think they're wishbone.
Say they're wishbone, but if you want to make the argument that Garrett Wilson alone will carry them out, like I might listen to it, but I also don't know if that'll be enough with the names that are behind them.
Right.
At least with the Browns, like Njoku has shown something before. Like they have guys like Deontay Johnson has shown something.
Mm-hmm.
If your wide receiver 2 is Josh Reynolds, yeah, nah, sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe ultimately needed a fifth tier in between like 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, maybe. But 4 tiers, I think the Jets have to be in the bottom tier. All right, the Steelers, where you have, I'm trying to think of the running back off the top of Jalen Warren. Have tight end Pat Fryermuth, Jonnu Smith, who you get him at Arthur Smith, look out. DK Metcalf and Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, Scotty Miller, Robert Woods. Yeah, it gets kind of more depressing after that.
This is really top heavy. I think that at best that this is a run and gun. It depends on how high you are on the trio of Warren, Metcalf, and Jonnu Smith. Like, I think that keeps them out of wishbone. But this is another team where if we had a ranking for like in between run and gun and wishbone, that's where I'd put teams like the Cardinals and Steelers.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think this is. I think they'll be out of tier 3, but like they're still not going to be that explosive.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. All right, the final 2 teams. Interesting. Washington. So I guess we'll do it based off of, let's say McLaurin re-signs and is good to go and he's there. We'll do it off of that. If you take McLaurin away, they're probably wishbone. Not gonna lie. But like outside of McLaurin, you're looking at, make sure I get the names right. So McLaurin, Noah Brown, Deebo Samuel, however he looks, Luke McCaffrey, Zach Ertz, Eckler, Brian Robinson Jr. for now. Seems like they're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I say Commanders fans are loving Krosky Merritt. Say Jacoby there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think when it comes to this offense, it's funny because I think the Commanders, just between Scary Terry, like I think if Debo's a utility weapon that you can use, not having to line up against once, he's a great weapon to have. This feels like it's going to be like a spread offense with Terry. Like this offense has a lot of talent if you add in Terry McLaurin. So I'm willing to put them in like spread.
Mm-hmm.
If you take him away, I think they just fall to run and gun. But
yeah, so I guess it's gonna be tough to kind of. Yeah, you know what? Commanders are so tough. We'll tentatively put them there. I'm okay with that. Because obviously, yeah, McLaurin would drop them down But yeah, we'll leave them there. I'm fine with that. And then the last team up, we have the Houston Texans, who do have some injuries, but no Tank Dell. But you got Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson. You have Joe Mixon, who I believe is hurt right now as well. You have Nick Chubb, which the Nick Chubb signing is going to be interesting. Damian Pierce, Dalton Schultz, who I do like. So where are we putting Houston?
So Mo, we're just ranking the skill positions outside the quarterback.
Yeah.
So don't even worry about it. I think the 49ers will very well could be better than both those teams, but it's the weapons outside of the quarterback that were not moved down. We're on the Texans. Oh, last team, Texans. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
So I feel like if they had Tank Dell to go with Collins and all that, they could be an air raid.
I think the talent alone, when we're talking about guys like Chubb, Pierce, Nico, Kirk,
Schultz,
Dalton,
yeah.
I think they're spread offense. I think they're obviously their injured receiver away from being air raid, but I think they're a spread offense.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If they had Tank, I'd put them up there. They're taking Tank Dell out, I think spread is perfect for them. I'm rooting for Nick Chubb as well, Mo. I mean that when he got injured, I was like that was such a tough scene because the talent's there. He's a beast, and yeah. So I hope he has a bounce back year down in Houston. Like Mixon and Chubb as a running back tandem could be crazy. But so those are our rankings. That's how we have them. For the skill position groups, minus the wide receiver, just letting you guys know the parameters here. I will put it up on the Wide Wire page. If you, I guess, want to continue the conversation, you can leave a comment under it once it's posted, and I will check in and definitely have a conversation with you down there. So, Cottrell, if you want to bump the Browns up even more, you can do it in the comment section. Browns got moved up good list. There you go.
Yeah,
off that offensive line, the Texans are more like an air ball. Well, we had to keep the offensive line out of this as well, because that's also a fair point to make about the Texans.
Hey, you know what? I think we did pretty good, all things considered. So, you know what? I'll take it. I'm happy with it.
Absolutely. So, as we prepare to get out of here, appreciate all of you. Brett, you want to let them know what they can look forward to coming up after us? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you can check out On the Ball podcast. We're finishing out our Mount Rushmores of each division. So this year, Kyle, I think this week, Kyle, you'll appreciate it because we're doing the Celtics division this week. So we're in the Atlantic. It's the last division. So Nets, 76ers, Celtics, Knicks, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great conversation.
Rondo, Tony Allen, Avery Bradley, Paul Pierce. There you go.
Hey, forgetting Brandon, mid-range legend Brandon Bass.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, man, Brandon Bass. That baseline jumper, he lived off of that one.
Say the mid-2010 Celtics where it's either foot on the line, Avery Bradley deep 2, or a Brandon Bass 15-footer, pick your poison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are some good times.
There we go. We're forgetting Big Perk.
Yeah, the face-up jumper that he would shoot like once every 2 weeks, and you're just like, never again. But yeah, so make sure you guys tune into And One. Leon Poe, Celtics legend. Phil Jackson didn't know who he was until he had that one game in the finals against them. Tune in to And One after this for Mo and Brett. Great conversation NBA-wise. So if you're an NBA fan, come back, check them out. Check out the Mount Rushmore. Like the Mount Rushmore series has been a lot of fun. And it concludes tonight with the Atlantic Division. SGA lives in the mid-range, yeah. So yeah, appreciate all of you. Next week we should be back on Tuesdays, but stay tuned for I guess the posting of when we will go live next. And look, next week we'll be looking at the actual week 1 and making some predictions and stuff. We'll be having a lot of fun next week.
I'll talk about my dark horse defensive player of the year candidate, Dexter Lawrence, so don't even worry about it.
There you go. So appreciate all of you. Love the chat tonight. We obviously love the energy in there. So for myself and Brett, this is the end. I'm saying this is the On the Ball podcast. We're out of here until next week. See you all later. All right. Bye.